waiting. One love will turn your skin. The lovers right, let them have their time. And I have this notion, let's keep these wheels in motion. In motion. And it's worse you for that I did not know. Did you think I would let it go? Oh no. And in time, yes, I'll think it's absurd, but until then you'll leave your words. But lay on, lay on. Now it's time to defend your lies, lies you've been feeding me all this time. And will you reoffend? Oh darling, you say that you are innocent, but your words, they seem irrelevant, but still play on. Now it's time to defend your lies, lies you've been feeding me all this time. And will you reoffend? Oh darling, oh you have reached your lover's end. No more will we make pretend like we something to fight for. Oh. We had nothing to fight for. 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 Just remember what your father did. Never the one to believe in hostilities, but you still enforce the worst upon me, upon me. All you wanted was love, but that was never enough. No, never enough. 'Cause you were chasing your dreams, now you can't redeem yourself. 'Cause you were chasing your dreams, now you can't redeem yourself. Disregarding your name, your smell is all that remains. They say you're an SLUT, but that doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't sit well with me. I remembered what you'd say. We're all looking to be alone. And somehow, someday, we'll find what we're looking for. Till then, you'll still be a boy. To be alone. And somehow, someday, we'll find what we're looking for. Until then, we'll all be yours. We'll all be boys.
evening, race fans. Pirate here, Black Flag Racing TV. And we are here for the endurance event, of course, Staying Power Endurance. This is round number 5. And last week we were at the wonderful Mount Panorama in the mountains of Australia. This is how it finished last week when Diego takes the win, breaking Kevin's dominance over the tournament up till now. So Kevin will be looking for a win this week to snatch back the impetus in this competition. This is how it leaves the standings after the 4 races done. Kevin still leads away 97 points at the top of the tree. Wendigo on 69 in second place. TJ just behind him, 58 points in third. Then Midas on 43 points in fourth place. Sturpan in fifth with 40, joint with Demos, also on 40 points. Arminis and Aaron Stormfly, VR46, both on 38 points. 32 for GMAC, who's not racing today. Wiggy and Paz Kozas, Wiggy is on 30 points. Paz Kozas and Flinty share 20 points each. Neither racing today. Jay on 18, joint with Newton, both racing this afternoon. Lucas, or Macho Man, Mega, whatever his name is, he's racing 2 today, 16 points for him. Bandit in 16th on 12 points, joint with Thanos, etc., etc., etc. That's what the calendar looks like. We are at Kyoto. This is Yamagiwa and Miyabi, and it will be a night-time race. Then we are off. No racing next week, because next week is a GT Fusion. We'll be back on the 1st of April for a blast around Fuji. And ignore that, it's not 7 o'clock, it'll be 7:30 as usual. But this week, this is where we are. We are at Kyoto. That's the wrong map, actually. That's just the Yamagiwa. We're Yamagiwa and... Oh, no, it's right. Yamagiwa and Miyabi. That is both tracks there. Which is a really, really cool track. And of course, home of the Wiggy's Wiggler. Well, not quite. You don't see Wiggy's Wiggler because obviously the track is slightly different. And that is the wrong map. We have a bigger bit at the bottom. I don't know why I put the wrong track back on there, but tough. Done now anyway. Anyway, swiftly and moving on. We have a full lobby, I think, bar. I think we have one person might be struggling to get in. Don't know what's they say it's incompatibility issues, but I can't see how the issue is incompatibility between a PlayStation 5 and a PlayStation 5. So the issue has got to be with the internet service provider. I know that some ISPs have you need certain MAC addresses to get into certain lobbies, etc., and maybe that's something that needs to be looked at some stage. I don't know what the answer is. I've done a bit of research. I spoke to a few people, and the consensus seems to be that the issue is with the person who's struggling to connect. It's to do with their internet service provider and how it communicates with the lobby, etc. So that's essentially what the problem is. But we will have 14 runners this evening. Wendigo, who won last time out, he's looking for another win today. That'd be awesome if he could pull that off. We know Newton's pretty quick, and he's going to be starting a bit higher up the group this time than he did last time. I'll go through. I should have put up the qualifying order, but essentially it'll be Pressure Craft will lead us out. Rocket Rob will join him on the front row. Hardwire and Bendit will be on row 2. Monkey Macho Man will be on row 3 alongside Newton. Jay and VR46 on row 4. Row 5 will be Arminis and Demos. Row 5 will be TJ and Wendigo because Midas can't get in. And Kevin and Zersity, who is new, will be at the back of the pack, obviously, based on the fact that Kevin is leading the championship, and it's reverse championship order, and Zersity is new to this particular competition. So just waiting for everyone is now ticked in. So where is Monkey Man Macho gone? Hopefully he'll be back quickly so we can get the grid order set. That'd be a bit of a pain in the arse if he doesn't make it back, wouldn't it? Real shame. Just want to say big congratulations to all the Black Flag drivers that have competed so far in the qualifying today for the GT Champions World Cup. Some brilliant performances thus far. And as it currently stands, there's still 7 hours to go qualifying, of course, but we've got 3 Black Flag drivers currently sitting in Division 1 at the moment. The most notable, of course, is Monkey Macho Man and or Monkey Man Macho. I'll keep getting that the wrong way around. And Slipstream, who are 5th and 6th, or 4th and 5th, respectively, in that table. We've got Kaizan Tyler is in that top 15 as well. Bandits has put in a good time. We know Arminis has put in a great time as well, as has Jay. And I think there's a couple of others still to go. I know that Grizz still needs to put in a time, and I think Arminis has put in a decent time as well. From Wendigo still needs to go and put in a time, as do 1 or 2 others. But it's all looking good at the moment. Qualifying is still ongoing, so when you finish watching here, you can go and jump onto GT Champions. I will join them for the tail end of qualifying once this is done and dusted and we are finished. So I wonder if we're waiting for Monkey Man Macho to get back. Hopefully he does make it back, and we can get this race going as soon as possible. We'll see. So yes, it's quite a complex track, this Yamagiwa and Mayabe. Does require an extreme level of concentration. Yes, we do. Then why you're asking me? I'm not the host. So I'm just replying to a message. I can't talk and type at the same time. There you go, message sent. Done. Yeah, because it's going to be a night race as well, it's going to be quite a complicated track. You need to find, well, while the daylight is there, which won't be for very long, you need to find your break points and find your rhythm pretty darn quickly, because once it gets dark, it's going to be difficult to find those breaking points. So Pleasurecraft is going to go out in that GTR Nismo GT500. Rob clear to go in the RCF, the NSX Concept 2016 for Hardwire. Bandit in the NSX Concept as well. Here we go, and we are ready to start. We'll go through the cars as we're starting. I think everyone's ticked in and ready to go. They are indeed. Monkey Man Macho, unfortunately, I think is going to start from the back of the pack, just because he got disconnected. It's one of those things. Right, so here we go. Grid start. We're going for split all. Yeah, so basically we are underway. 2 hours of racing here. 2 compounds required, soft and medium. That's 3, that's 4, that's 5 lights. Last light goes out and we are racing, and away we go. And a really good start from a couple of cars here. There's a car further back getting bogged down early on to Pleasurecraft into turn 1 ahead of Rob clear to go, who being a little bit aggressive, but up into the lead of this race he goes, but very aggressive into turn 1 was clear to go. Need to be a little bit more careful than that. This race is not won on the first corner. Bandit is in 3rd at the moment. Stormfly, good position for him to be in. Him and Knudsen in 4th and 5th. Very quick drivers, and if they can make their way through this order nice and quickly, they could set themselves a very good race time. And that is Stormfly already buttoning his way up to 2nd. Pleasurecraft ahead of clear to go, gets himself up that order, and a tag. He gets tagged on the way through. Stormfly, I don't know who that was that tagged him. It looked to me to be Rob that tagged him. Just needs to be a little bit more careful with his overtaking. He's ahead of TJ at the moment. I think TJ should be afraid, be very afraid. So Pleasurecraft in the lead. Bandit up to 2nd place with that Lego livery. It's nice to see that he's still not putting Black Flag stuff on his cars. Naughty, naughty. Knudsen running in 3rd position. And that's a good start from him. TJ up into 4th. Stormfly is settled into fifth, ahead of Wendigo, winner last time out. 4-second penalty for Rob there for his shenanigans early on. Monkey Man Macho makes the overtake. He's now ahead. He's in that GTR. And that's Rob there. He's got another 4 seconds. Is that another 4-second penalty? Or the current 4 seconds? I think it's the current 4-second penalty. Old Man Jay and making the move now. Kevin is already behind him. He's trying to make a move through. Behind Kevin is now Rob. He's dropping that back down through the order. There is Hardwire, Hristo Prafanov, making his way up the order. He's now in 9th. Azursity from the United States of America. Welcome to Black Flag, buddy. I've got to remove the lobby cover, sorry about that. Yeah, I forgot to remove the lobby cover. Welcome to Black Flag, my friend, and hope you enjoy your racing here today. TJ in 12th place. He's had a problem and dropped down that order. Clearly he's been tagged somewhere. He's got Demos behind him, and Bandit has had a terrible time because he is down now in 14th place. So did him and TJ have a little coming together maybe? But out in front there is Pleasurecraft. We're on lap 2. Pleasurecraft and Newton just starting to stretch their legs a little bit and pull away from the chasing pack. Pleasurecraft on those. We'll have a quick look actually at everyone's tire choices to start. Soft compounds for Pleasurecraft. Newton also gone for those softs. Remember, they start on just half a tank of fuel. So it's all about managing that fuel in the early stage. And it is random weather as well, so it could. I don't know if this track can rain, but if it can, it may well do. We have no control over that. Wendigo, winner last time out, currently running in 4th place and looking pretty racy right now. He's also on those soft compound tyres. Monkey Man Macho, currently sitting 4th on the racetrack and 5th on the GT Champions leaderboard, although a couple of fast guys have been out since, so I don't know where he sits now. We'll have a look later. Good performance from him in that qualifier, of course. Stormfly running in 5th place. He has got Arminis trying to make a move on him, and Arminis does make that move, but Stormfly just holds on in 5th place and keeps Arminis at bay. Arminis, of course, has also done some great qualifying for the GT Champions. Kevin's fought his way up to 7th. He's ahead of Old Man Jay. Just a second behind Arminis at the moment. So he's got some work to do to fight through that order. Old Man Jay's got Azursity tucked in behind him. And I hope you enjoy your race, Azursity, and we'll sort of see what you can do with that. I mean, you're already up a few places. Side by side with Old Man Jay makes the move in the GTO. He's up to 8th position. There is Hristo. He is a second behind Old Man Jay at the moment, who's holding Hristo off. And they're still pretty close, this midfield pack. TJ 2.9 seconds back. He's got Demos behind him. I don't know who tagged him, but he's running on the medium compound tyre. I think actually Kevin's also running on the mediums. I'm getting those out of the way. So I think, yeah, it's just Kevin and TJ at the moment on those medium tyres, getting them out of the way early and doors. Demos also opting for some medium compound action. Rob started on the softs. He did start up the front, but after a bit of bonking around and knocking some people about, has dropped down the order, and he's now got Bandit crawling up behind him, with Bandit about to make that move. Bandit, of course, did his qualifying for GT Champions yesterday, and he's sitting in a good, comfortable mid-pack position at the moment as he gets that Lego branded car up into 13th place. So out in front, there's Pleasurecraft. There's Newton just behind him, 6/10, and Wendigo half a second back, and they're just starting to pull a gap now from the chasing pack, this top 3. In fact, I mean, I suppose you could include in there Monkey Man Macho, 1.7 seconds back, as they just go through the part of Wiggler there at the bottom of that hill, before they go right back around into the Yamagiwa part of the circuit. But it's looking really close at the moment for these guys, and I don't think we've seen the last of the overtakes out in front. Everyone's just kind of settling into the race at this stage, just making sure they've got the fuel and tyres under control. In terms of pit window, it's going to be a while. It's certainly going to be a while. I think we'll have a look. Once we get to sort of half-hour mark. We'll see where we're at in terms of fuel consumption, because I think fuel is going to be the factor that decides initially. And then we'll make a call from there. As Wendigo trying to pull a move on Newton. Newton up behind Pleasurecraft and trying to find a way around him there into the lead of this race. But he's just tucked in between Pleasurecraft and Wendigo, the two Lithuanian drivers, sandwiching Newton at the moment in between them. And trying to find a way through. But they are very, very similar in terms of pace. 2:01.0 for Wendigo, 2:02.2 for Newton, and a 2:02.5 for Pleasurecraft. So Wendigo just with that little bit, little injection of pace. And Newton's making the move on Pleasurecraft round the outside. Can he make this move stick, or does Pleasurecraft keep it there side by side? He doesn't. Pleasurecraft keeps second place. And this just allows Wendigo to keep getting involved in that battle while Newton and Pleasurecraft fight it out. And what that's allowed Macho Monkey Man, whatever his bloody name is, to do, and Stormflies just to catch up with that front three, who are battling out. And while they're battling out, these guys are just crawling towards the back of them and finding a way to get involved in that battle for the top three. There is Stormfly running in fifth. He is under a second behind Monkey Macho Man. Monkey Man Macho. I thought, why has it got that way around? Should be Monkey Macho Man, surely. Or Macho Monkey Man. Either way, he is tucked in behind him and just putting a little bit of a gap, 1.5 seconds back to another Lithuanian driver, Arminis. At the moment, we've got Pleasurecraft, Wendigo, Monkey Man, Macho, and Arminis in the top six, all Lithuanian drivers. Good to see. I know it's got British flags next to them, but that's because Newton has made his way past Pleasurecraft. Is he able now just to pull away? Is Wendigo the next target? He is. Wendigo straight away makes that move past Pleasurecraft and carries on up the road after Newton. He is the fastest man on the racetrack at the moment, Wendigo. So can he find that extra little bit of pace required in that GTR to catch up to the back of Newton and then, of course, make the overtake, which isn't an easy thing to do in these GR2 GT500 cars. Down the order, there's Kevin running in 7th place. He's on the medium compound tyre, so he's not going to be showing the super hot pace like they are out in front. But a 2:02.4 on the medium compound tyres is not too shabby a result for him. He's currently running 3.3 seconds behind Arminis outside that top six, but putting in steady laps. And has pulled out a bit of a gap now from Zersty. 5.1 seconds is the gap to Zersty in 8th place. 2.2 seconds back from Zersty is Old Man Jay. And he's under a bit of pressure now from TJ, who's trying to find a way to get that GTR past the GTR of Old Man Jay and up into 9th. Jay not making it easy for him, but TJ gets through and is up to 9th place. Demos in 11th behind Jay. 1.1 seconds is that gap, so he's still in it. But again, he's running on those medium compound tyres. So we'll have to just try and eke out the pace as much as possible on those mediums. Obviously, the benefit of running the mediums early doors is that you don't have to run them again and you can go with the softs for the remainder of the race. So it will the race will come to these guys later on in the in this 2-hour race. And let's face it, we're only 10 minutes in. There's plenty of racing still to be done here at Kyoto. There's Hardwire Hristo Bratvanov. Should I? Let me change to another one. I want that one. No, I'm leaving it. I'm leaving it as nicknames. Sorry. Oh, and it looks like Monkey Man Macho has disconnected as Hristo hits the wall and hits it hard.
You can't park that there, mate.
What can you say about that other than
Johnny loves Chachi!
but what a devastating blow from Monkey Man Macho. He was really getting involved in that potential battle for the top three. So that changes things a little bit out front. Bandit in 13th place. He's 3.5 seconds behind Hristo, who's lost that to Rob after hitting the wall. Right, so Newton leads the way. He's pulled out a bit of a gap from Wendigo. 1 second gap for Newton 84 or 1984. There's Wendigo with him. They're now starting just to push Pleasurecraft back towards that chasing pack as they start to open up a little bit. And, there's nothing wrong with sort of pacing yourself at this stage. As long as Wendigo can see him, you keep in his sights, then you can make your move later on. And you just want to make sure you stick with them. But they're starting now just to open up a gap to Pleasurecraft, 1.4 seconds. He's got a similar gap back to Stormfly, who is finding himself under a bit of pressure from Arminis now. Now Monkey Man Macho is gone. Arminis there, 3/10 back, can start to put some pressure on Stormfly and see if he can make his way up into that top 4. But this top 5 now really kind of asserting themselves out front there. It's a 4.3 second gap back to the current championship leader, of course, Kevin, who's running in 6th place. But remember, he is the highest placed at the moment medium tyre runner. So he won't have to run those I was going to say shittier, but they are shittier. The shittier medium tyres later in the race, and who have the benefit of just the grippy, soft compound tyre. The City doing well in 7th. The gap to Kevin, 7.4 seconds. As Demos making a move around TJ up into 8th, who is 4.4 seconds back from the American driver. Excuse me. I just can't shake this bloody cough. My miss keeps nagging me to go to the doctors for it, and I can't be bothered. It's hard enough to get a bloody doctor's appointment for anything else as it is, but is what it is. So Demos in 8th place, TJ sticking with him. Remember, they're both on medium compound tyres. So medium tyre runners, Kevin in 6th, Demos in 8th, TJ in 9th. They will run as long as they possibly can until the fuel runs out and then change out for some lovely, lovely softs. And that's a move by TJ, potentially up the inside. He was having a look, but Demos taking 2 very different lines around there, but both equally quick. Be interesting to see how this pans out over the course of the race. Old Man J, 2.6 seconds behind that battle, but firmly ahead at the moment of Hristo Bratvanov in 11th place, who is going to be under pressure quite soon from Rob, if Rob can close back up on him. Rob did get around him when Hristo hit the wall, but he's found his way back ahead of him again. And Bandit running in 13th place in the Lego car. It's not actually made of Lego, of course. He's 2 seconds back from clear to go. So not working out too well for him at the moment. He did a really good job in the qualifying for GT Champions, but at the moment running in 13th place. Fastest man on the racetrack. There he is out in front. It is Knudsen, who is 6/10 up from Wendigo. Wendigo's not letting him go, but he's put in a 2 minutes .952. Now, are we going to see a sub 2 minute lap? I imagine at some stage on soft tyres with light fuel, especially in these cars, we're going to see somebody putting in a sub 2 minute lap. I imagine if it's going to be anybody, it's going to be Knudsen, Wendigo, Stormfly, Kevin, one of those guys. We know that they're more than capable of putting in that kind of lap. But you don't count anybody out because you just don't know. It just takes one purple patch and just going well, and then there you go. That is the perfect lap. So Knudsen leads the way from Wendigo. These two now really asserting their dominance out in front and pulling away from the rest of the pack. They've built a nice gap to Pleasurecraft, who is currently running in 3rd, 3.4 seconds behind these two dominant leaders. Knudsen running in the GTR, as is Wendigo, of course.
I didn't understand that.
Anyone that watches my broadcast regularly will know that for some reason my phone, right, and the voice control of my phone never works. Apart from when I'm broadcasting, then it randomly just starts to search for shit while I'm talking. It's almost as if my phone is jealous that I'm not talking to it, that I'm talking to somebody else. Who knows? Pleasurecraft, he's got a bit of room for himself. And Pleasurecraft, of course, is named after my wife's pet name for my penis. 3.8 seconds back from Wendigo, 2.7 seconds ahead of Arminis. I just want to go over to the Skype and have a quick chat with Greta.
How dare you?
Yes, how dare you indeed. Arminis running in 4th place. That's 3.6 seconds outside that top 3. And behind him, he's got Stormfly, 1.4 seconds behind, closing in. Kevin now has closed the gap to Stormfly to just half a second on those medium tyres, starting to show his very dominant pace. And of course, we know that he puts a lot of practice laps in before these races to ensure that he is, got the track perfectly down. And I suppose that's how you become champion. Is you put in consistent laps all the time, practice one track and one track only at a time, don't worry about anything else, just focus on getting that done. And that's why he is putting in the lap times that he is right now on those medium compound tyres. Wrong button completely. So we're starting to see some wear on those soft compound tyres. It's clear they might not even last. Well, I suppose it depends what car you're in. Stormfly is in he's in the GTR, but he seems to have taken quite a lot out of those front tyres. The GTR of Arminis, not quite so much pressure through them, nor, let's put it up and show you what. So yeah, we look there. No, I wouldn't think for a minute that you would have rage quit, Monkey Man. The one, there'd be no reason for you to rage quit in that position, and 2, I saw you were having a few connection problems earlier on anyway. It's absolutely fine, buddy. I can tell the difference generally between a rage quit and a disconnection. The first indication someone's rage quit is that they're lost, of course, or they've just spun or something like that. So don't worry, don't worry. It's one of those things, and it's a crying shame, but it happens. Yeah, it is what it is. So, yeah, if we look at the tyres here, we can see of the GTR runners, Newton there. Tyres, I mean, the slightly different wear between him and Wendigo. A little bit less on the tyres of Wendigo. Pleasurecraft, he is in the GTR as well. He's taken less out of the tyres, as has Arminis in the. He's also in the GTR, of course. Then we've got. Is he in the GTR? Yes, he is. Of course, he is. Stormfly, also in the GTR, seems to have taken a lot more out of those front tyres than the others for some reason. Kevin not in the. Yes, he is. Of course, he's in the GTR. It's just basically. This is basically just a GTR race, isn't it? So Kevin running on the medium tyres. So of course, hardly anywhere at all there for him. Xersity also in that GTR. So the top 7 cars, all the Nissan GTR, and it's a bit of concern whether these soft tyres last an entire half tank of fuel. So we are looking somewhere around, I think probably from lap 18 is when we're going to start to see some of these soft tyre runners coming in. Maybe a bit sooner if they take as much out as it looks like they are. In terms of the medium tyre runners, somewhere later, like lap 21, 22, is when they'll start to dive into the pits. So Demos is running just a second behind Xersity in 8th place. He's now 2.1 seconds clear of TJ, who's also running those medium tyres, of course. Old Man J, 4.2 seconds behind, but really looking after his fuel quite well, as you can see there, which is going to allow him just to stay on the racetrack that little bit longer. He's not abusing his tyres either, but lapping probably about 4 seconds slower than the front runners at the moment. Kristol Bratvanov, HB Racing, of course, which is Kristol Bratvanov Racing, representing, I think, the ISA racing team. I'm sure Benji said that he's racing for ISA in the GT Champions World Cup. Could be wrong, of course, but he's running in 11th position, 21 seconds 21 seconds behind Old Man J. Then Rob is in 12th, he's 13 seconds back, but he's going to be under pressure soon from Lego Bandit, who's closing down on him. I will be back very shortly. We're going to go shout at a child. I do apologise for that. I have returned. My head roll is fucking nightmare. Right, anyway, Bandit has made it past Robin up into 12th position, as we thought he might. Right, your top three. It's still Newton and Wendigo dominating out in front. Newton still managing to hold off the charge of Wendigo at this stage. 0.3 of a second that Newton leads by, with Wendigo 6.8 seconds now they've pulled out from Pressure Craft. So these two really dominating out in front. Wendigo would really love to get another win. He got a win last week at Bathurst, another win today. Would really assert his dominance and close that gap in the championship race. And of course, if anyone that remembers watching the last season of the Lithuanian GR2 Championships will know that Wendigo had that championship snatched from his grasp with just a couple of races left to go in that series by an alien of a driver, a guy called Simonis, who's incredibly quick. Wendigo, is he going to make a move on Newton there? Because he is so much closer, coming round this kind of duck-billed shape part of the race track. But at the moment, no. I think it looks to me that he's just happy to kind of sit in there in that slipstream and wait for an opportunity. Newton's going to have to come in and change up those tyres shortly, though. Certainly before Wendigo comes in. So I think this battle out front is going to be decided by how long you can keep your tyres underneath you on the racetrack. Wendigo running in second, of course. There's Pleasurecraft, who's found a little niche for himself in third. He's just kind of plodding along. He can see the cars just ahead of him in Newton and Wendigo, but he himself not got the pace to stick with them. As we only saw early on that he was there or thereabouts, but just couldn't maintain that pace to stick with them. But sitting there comfortably in third. Kevin now has made his way up to fourth. 7 seconds back from Pleasurecraft at this moment, which will mean Kevin will put himself somewhere near the front of the pack once the soft tyre runners go in and change out their tyres. And consider that he's going to be on soft tyres at the end of this race when others will be on mediums. It's certainly a good charge forward for him. He was at the start at the back of the pack, of course, because it is a reverse. It's essentially the way it works is that we don't have qualifying. It is reverse championship order. So based on where you are on the championship grid is based on where you start the race. The further up the grid you are, the further up the table you are, the further down the grid you start. But that's a good charge forward from Kevin. Started in 14th, is now in 4th. That's 10 places gained. Go maths. 1 second back is Stormfly, who's still got arm and it's crawling all over him. It's got to be so difficult to continually keep racing and try to pick your lines and pick that your way around the racetrack when the car behind you is putting you under so much pressure. And as he got a little bit wobbly and given Arminis a way through, not this time, but in terms of tyre wear, really has taken it out of his tyres in that GTR. So we'll certainly be looking to change them out pretty soon. Trying to find someone who's not running a GTR, but can't find anyone. GTR there for Zerst, he's in 7th place. Demos now, he's in the NSX, one of the few runners not in the GTR, closing down on the back of Zersity within 1 second. He's pulled out a bit of a gap now on TJ, having got past him. TJ, of course, with the medium tyres as well as Demos, of course. 5.1 seconds. So that's Arminis is the first to blink and the first to jump in to the pits. So he is the first one in. Probably a little bit sooner than I would have expected, to be honest. There's certainly some wear left on those tyres when he came in. But maybe he's looking for a little bit of an overcut jump. He's in, as is TJ. TJ's swapping out now those medium compound tyres. That makes a bit more sense because they're not essentially going to wear out before the fuel does. So that's not a wear issue. That is just I'm sick of these fucking tyres issue. And so a bit more fuel on board, put on the soft compound tyres, and away he goes. He's back out in 10th, 3.6 seconds behind old man Jay. who is 19 seconds behind Arminus GT. Risto is 4.6 back in 11th place. Bandit's made his way around Rob, of course. He's 15 seconds to make up on Risto Bratvanov. He's starting to find some pace now, actually. He's in the NSX as well. But starting to find some pace now and some rhythm, whereas early doors it was a little bit of a struggle for him. But yeah, he's finding some pace now. And Rob is off cutting the grass in his John Deere. And he's in that, that's the Lexus RCF, I think. It is indeed the Lexus RCF. Loving the livery, though. Loving livery's cool. Driving not so great. So, Knudsen is now at 10.3 seconds clear. So, what happened to Wendigo? He had a very poor lap there, so 2 at 12.3. He hasn't pit, so clearly he had a little bit of a wobble somewhere. And that's given Newton a lovely 10-second gap out in front, which Wendigo's going to have to work really hard now to make that back up. And of course, his championship rival, Kevin, is just behind him on the racetrack. Pleasurecraft up into second now, and he is, at the moment, holding Wendigo at bay. But for how long is the question? And they're actually just coming up behind Rob to lap him here on lap 15. Stormfly into the pits just as we're about to hit the 1/4 half-hour mark in this race. So, 15 laps at the half hour. That makes this a 60-lap race here at Yamagiwa and Miyabi at the Kyoto Racing Circuit. So, Pleasurecraft in second. Wendigo in third. Also, Zercity into the pits. Arminus as well. I'm sure Arminus has already been in. Why is he going back in again? Is he ditching? I think Arminus has gone in. He's put on the mediums, run them for a lap, and then ditch them again. It's perfectly within your rights to do that. You only have to use them. It doesn't say how long you have to use them for. The thing is, it's whether you feel that it's worthwhile pitting twice. You know, it's a 20 odd second pit just to drive into. I think you've got to consider whether it's worthwhile doing that. Clearly, he felt it was, but yeah, I mean, personally, I would just run with him for a bit. So Newton leads from Pleasurecraft. Wendigo in third. Kevin in fourth place. 3.5 seconds now to those front runners. Of course, on those medium tyres, he can go that little bit longer than those three cars ahead. Only 14 seconds behind the leaders. He will have the opportunity to lead this race. Demos is running in fifth position. It's a good run from him. Obviously, being on those medium tyres as well is going to help the longevity on the racetrack. Stormfly back out of the pits in sixth place. He's on those soft compound tyres still. So he's going to have a nice little blast on those. I think he's going to basically run this till the fuel goes down. So looking for some quick, super hot laps over the next few, probably about 20 minutes or so. He's going to run some nice hot laps and burn that fuel off. 20 seconds back is TJ. He's ditched those medium tyres now. He's on the softs. So he's going to be pitting again somewhere around lap, probably lap, I don't know, 27, 28, something like that maybe. Yeah, 27, 28 I think will be his pit window. Arminus, he's been in twice, but he wanted to ditch those medium compound tyres. So now he's going to run again to about lap 27, 28 before he'll change out those tyres, put some more fuel, but can now just run on softs to the end of this race. Risto Bratvanov on the soft compound tyre, currently running, he's in the NSX of course, running in ninth, 3.9 seconds behind Arminus. He's got Zercity just 7/10 from behind him. So Zercity's putting some pressure on the American driver on the back of the Bulgarian. 15 seconds further down the road is Bandit. He's made his way ahead of Old Man Jay, and who's been in the pits and now put on the medium compound tyres. Now he's looking to go for quite a long stint here in the middle stint on those medium tyres. I think this is quite a clever idea. I think, you know, if you're a front runner, you probably don't want to be running on those medium tyres for too long, just because, you know, pace-wise, you want to be on the quickest tyres available. I think if you're battling for a midfield position and you're doing, I mean, he clearly done. He's done 204s on the softs, but you can churn out, you know, sort of the sort of 208, 209s, that kind of thing on a. Oh, you're not going to do it to park there, mate, because you can't park there. Was it?
You can't park that there, mate.
Yeah, if you can run sort of 208s, 209s on the medium compound tyre for a long period of time, as Pleasurecraft is the first of the top 3 to blink. Kevin into the pits, into second place, of course. Yeah, and you know, run long. He'll be looking at people like Bandit, like Xerxes, or Xerxes actually is going to run quite long as well. Risto certainly will be into the pits. Arminus will have to go in at some stage before him. TJ as well. Maybe even Demos, who's going to pit in probably about 5 or 6 laps from now. It does give him the potential to nick those places. So Knudsen now 15 seconds clear. That's an interesting line through there. And oh my days. That was a devastating crash.
I crashed.
You crashed! How are you coming fast?
Just got a little bit squirrely on the grass and it ploughed him into the wall. Some damage on the rear of the car. The gap is dropping rapidly, 13 seconds now. Kevin up to second position, and it could be, I mean, the state of the tyres there could be a big reason behind it. So he's going to jump, I think he's going to jump into the pits at the end of this lap and change out those soft compound tyres. Lap 17 he's made it to, which is not a bad run, to be fair, on those softs. I thought maybe they'd last a bit longer, but no. It's supposed to always staying out for another lap, is Knudsen. I had the impression it's supposed to be a night race, but there's clearly an issue when the race starts with time dilation in these lobbies at the moment. And I don't know what the answer is to fix it. It's out of our control, is essentially what the problem is that it seems to be fine during practice. The time dilation seems to work okay, and I don't think we have the same problem during qualifying either. But during a race, it doesn't seem to cycle properly through the time dilation. And I'm sure they'll fix it in the next thing. I mean, it's a pain in the arse, yeah, of course it is. But, you know, it's nowhere near as bad as as some of the other issues that came out last time. They had to fix immediately. It's something that can wait until the next patch arrives. But we'll see how that pans out. Right, so after that little crash Knudsen had on that last lap, Kevin has closed that gap to 11 seconds. Really looking a lot racier than he did last week at Bathurst. Last week at Bathurst just struggled a little bit with his pace. Eventually made his way into the top 3, of course, but and up into second place, of course. But this week he's looking back on top form, and you know, he puts the work in to make sure that he can put in these kind of lap times. And that's what you've got to do. You've got to put the work in, my friend. You've got to put the work in. Of course, next week we won't have any endurance racing because next week is GT Fusion. Some drivers are racing in that, of course. That's going to be round 1, which will be broadcast from, I can't remember what time, actually about 7 o'clock or something like that. 6 or 7 o'clock, I can't remember, or maybe it's a bit earlier in the afternoon. Either way, all the information will be up, and I'll let you know once I do. Who's racing where for Black Flag Racing TV. Alright, Knudsen into the pits. Kevin has followed him in actually on those medium tyres. He could have gone a lap or 2 longer, but I think he's decided to mimic Knudsen's strategy. Now, the thing is, Knudsen still needs to run medium compound tyres. Kevin doesn't. Does this come into play? So Wendigo takes the lead of this race, albeit just for the time being. Pleasurecraft is through in second. Knudsen out in third. Stormfly between them. Stormfly in fourth. Kevin is in 5th place. Now, Kevin was something like 11 seconds behind Newton when they went into the pits. Newton has fueled significantly more than Kevin. That's clear. But the gap is right down. Kevin's cut the gap down. He was 11 seconds behind Newton. He's 7 seconds behind the leader, Wendigo, now, who is currently leading by 3.5 seconds over Pleasurecraft. There he is in the lead of this race right now. The thing is, while we wait for the pit strategies to kind of play out over the next sort of hour of the race, it's going to be very difficult to sort of predict where people are going to end up, particularly because you've got to look at the pace people are chucking out. I mean, Wendigo's doing steady, apart from his 212, he's doing steady kind of low 203s, low 202s on a regular basis. Pleasurecraft is in the high 203s, low 204s. Newton, we know, certainly capable. He did a 2-minute flat, 2-minute .952. But towards the end of the stint was doing regular low 203s with the odd mid 202 chucked in there for good measure. Stormfly, he's on those soft compound tyres, and his last lap was a 201.6, so he is showing some better pace there in 4th place right now. Oh, there was a big tank slapper there just as we flicked off of him. The back of his car stepping out, decides to just get away from him, but he does pull that back in. The only problem that is now is that Newton now is a little bit further ahead, and he's got Kevin right up behind him, and that's not where you want a Greek with that kind of speed sliding up behind you like that, especially if you're not oiled up and ready to go. Excuse me. So Kevin in 5th place, that's where he came out, but he has no longer got to run medium compound tyres. That's really, really key for these front runners. So at the top 5, everybody bar Kevin has to run at some point some medium compounds, and this could really play into his hands, to be fair. But of course, he's still got to make overtakes. You know, you're not going to get this done just by pit stops alone. And he did feel significantly less than Newton did in that last stop. Which means, look, Newton, tyre-wise, they're probably going to be similar in terms of tyre wear. But Newton's put himself in a position where he doesn't have to fuel quite as much next time round. So it swings and roundabouts. Swings and roundabouts, isn't it? But there's your championship leader, your race leader, Wendigo. 5.1 seconds ahead of Pleasurecraft, his countryman and Lithuanian racing club teammate. They are 7/10 clear of Newton in 3rd, who is 1.6 clear of Stormfly. Stormfly has, of course, Kevin, the current championship leader for company. Demos running in 6th position, the highest runner not in a GTR right now. He's still on those medium tyres. He has made this fuel last an absolute age. Done a really good job. Going to be a couple more laps before we see him diving in. Remember, we're looking at about 60 laps here, and we're on lap 20 already. Arminus is running in 7th place. He should move up when Demos goes in to get his new tyres and fuel. He will move up to 6th position, but will be pitting himself in probably about 4 or 5 laps time, or maybe a bit longer than that, maybe 6 or 7 depending on the fuel situation. TJ up to 8th, 4.4 seconds further back. He had a bad start and tanked all the way down the order, and has had to work his way back through traffic to get to 8th place. And at the moment, just off the pace of those... to be fair, I mean, he has been capable of doing front runner pace. I mean, 202.5, 202.8. So he's not far off the pace of those guys out front. But he's not in the right track position. And that's where the difficulty lies. Is how do you get yourself into the position where you can put those kind of quick laps to the best benefit. And I suppose you have to hope that through a series of pit stops and stuff, you can move up a few places and maybe then put yourself in a better position to capitalise on those lap times. Zersity from the United States races with TG Community Racing. He's joining us for the first time, and I hope he enjoys his time with us. Running in 9th place, 29 seconds back from TJ, 6.5 seconds ahead of Bandit in the Lego NSX. Didn't have the greatest of starts either. Started right in the front of the grid, but didn't have the greatest of starts and saw himself dropping down through that order. He is, however, 57 seconds clear. He hasn't pit yet, of course. He will need to pit, I imagine, probably at the end of this lap, looking at his fuel situation. He's 58 seconds clear of Risto Bradford at the minute, who has been and is now running. He's going for a long stint on medium tyres in this central part of the race. Old man Jay, he's been in, and I think he's been in for a second stop and got rid of those medium compound tyres. So decided against staying on them. He's on the soft. He's putting some pressure on the back of Risto right now, looking for a way through. Can he find a way up into the top 10? If he can get past Risto now, Bandit's going to go in the pits. If he can just close that gap a little bit. Currently the gap is 1 minute. Bear in mind, he has been into the pits twice, so if he can close up, that would be awesome. It will give him a real good opportunity to score some points in that top 10. Rob at the back of the pack, 13th place, 29 seconds back. We've lost Monkey Man Macho, who unfortunately just got disconnected for whatever connection problem happened there, and the PlayStation just decided you're not playing today and threw him out. So unfortunately, misses out on this race, and I'm sure he's absolutely gutted because he was showing some phenomenal pace early on as well, and as he did in the qualifying for the GT Champions World Cup, where at last check-in he was just behind Slipstream in that top 5. Obviously now a few more of the quicker drivers have been out there. That might not be the same, but we will check in on that. In fact, I might check on it while we're racing, actually. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to check in. Let's check in and see where we're at. Just having a quick look. At the moment, Sharky is about to do a lap. Wox is out. Is that Sharky running at the minute? So Sharky is currently putting his lap times in the minute. And I'll tell you what, it's not looking as. I know as I start, it's Ace or Wox running at the moment. I think Sharky is. Sharky's in the pit, so he'll be next to jump out, I think. Fastest lap so far is 25.2, which is slightly slower than we saw in the earlier session. Anyway, back to the race we're actually in. The heat is full. Focus on what we're actually racing in. So when there is Wendigo, he's your leader. 7.1 seconds now. He has pulled out in the lead of this race. Newton's made his way into second. Doing a really good job. He's ahead of Pleasurecraft. Kevin has found his way around Stormfly into fourth. But his distance to the leader has actually come out a little bit. He was only 7 seconds from the leader. It's now at 9.5 seconds. He's 1.3 behind Pleasurecraft, who's a second behind Newton. So he can see that top 3. I mean, the top 3 is certainly within touching distance. You can kind of reach out and almost touch a place in the top 3 at the moment. But still got some work to do to ensure if he wants to finish at the top of the pile, he's going to have some work to do at this stage to do that. Stormfly running, it's kind of running in a sort of best of the rest scenario at the moment. In that 5th place, he's not quite putting in the pace to challenge those guys out in that are battling for the top 3, but those guys in the midfield are not quite quick enough to match his pace there in 5th at the moment. There's Demos, who has run an absolute age on those tyres and that fuel. He did a 2:11 was his last lap, and he's still sticking out there, and I think he's just going to run this as long as he possibly can without pitting. Surely he needs to come in at the end of this lap, or is he going to go yet another lap without pitting? But I think he's the only driver left on the track that hasn't been in for fresh fuel or tyres. And we're now lap 23, 47 minutes into this 2-hour race. Now, ordinarily, we would at some point now have seen it turn dark. There is a significant bug in this in the lobbies, where during under race conditions, the time doesn't really dilate very well, and we find ourselves not having the right kind of switches in track evolution either. So Demos stays out again for another lap, and he's still churning out high 204s to mid 205s, despite being on very, very worn medium tyres in that NSX and having very little fuel left on board. Armitage behind, though, is looking racy. He is lapping steadily in the mid 201s and low 202s, and he's putting some pressure on the back of Demos now. And I think Demos really needs to think about getting in and changing the fuel and tyres. At the moment, he's being held up a little bit by old man Jay as they both come through. Armitage up the inside. He certainly had a look, didn't make the move that time, but he gets a much better exit as they come through that double apex, and he's round the outside, so he can't make the move there. Can he make the old switcheroo? He is tucked right in under that rear wing. Looking up the inside, Demos just covering off the apex yet again, really holding him up. Armitage is so much quicker behind Demos at the moment, but can't find the way just to nudge that car ahead. So decides to back off from the dirty air and see if he can get a run on him in a straight here, and he has got a run on him now. He's tucked in behind under that wing. Again, Demos is doing such a solid blocking job. It's almost though he's trying to keep stopping that. I mean, the thing is he's blocking him off, but he's got to go in the pits. And to me, it doesn't make sense to be affecting your race in such a way, because he is affecting his own race, defending in such a way. He's going to be costing him time as well to defend so resolutely. There's nothing wrong with defending your position, but I just think you know when you're defending it, because he's going to lose track position the moment he goes into the pits, and he must know that. But I suppose you do not want to get past on the racetrack, and that's the way that you operate. That's how you've got to do things. Does he peel off to the left-hand side here? Finally, he does. Armitage carries on up the road. He does get the overtake done, but he had to wait for Demos to go into the pits, trying to get past there. Right, 11 seconds. There is TJ Hill come through. Xerxes 52 seconds behind TJ. Minute behind Demos. I don't think he's going to get there before Demos comes out. Bandits closed that gap to Xerxes to 17 seconds. Old man Jay closed to Bandit down to 48 seconds. Bandit has been in the pits now, of course, which is why the gap is down to 48 seconds. And how far is he going to run? That's the question. A lot more fuel on board for old man Jay, which means that he just needs to go in and whack some tyres and doesn't need to fuel next time. So a very short pit stop for him when he does come in about 20 minutes time, there or thereabouts. Hardwired Risto Bratvanov running in 12th is 13.7 seconds back. He's running those medium compound tyres, so will likely gain some track position over certainly old man Jay, possibly also Bandit when they come in later on in this race. And Rob 15 seconds back on the grass again, and on the grass again, and on the grass again. He's loving the grass, loving it, loving it, loving it. Yeah, and again on the grass. Right, so the leader still opening up the gap is Wendigo, showing phenomenal racecraft and pace out there. 8.6 seconds. Kevin has now made his way up to second place. He's got his way around Pleasurecraft. He's got his way around Knudsen. Now, when he came out of the pits, he was just 7 seconds. He was back in fourth at the time. He was 7 seconds behind Wendigo. That gap's actually opened up now to 8.6 seconds. However, he no longer has to run medium compound tyres, Kevin, whereas everyone around him does. Sorry, I need to drink more. My throat is getting sore from all the coffee. Newton 1.9 or 2 seconds essentially behind Kevin. He's got Pleasurecraft within that 1 second slipstream window, but seems to be lapping quick enough just to keep him at bay. Did he have a point? It looks like he had a slight problem. he was doing steady 202s until he didn't and did a 205.2, and that'll be why Kevin has been able, with his consistent low to mid 201s, to just find his way past Knudsen up into second. Looks like Wendigo's had a problem because that gap that was 8 seconds is now down to under 3 seconds. Did he get a little bit squirrely somewhere and have a little dink, get on the grass or spin the car around? Because that gap now is significantly lower. And listen, I've said it before and I'll say it again, Kevin is a very, very good driver. Very, very quick. And, you know, if you want to beat him, the only way you're going to do it is by not making mistakes. Look, we know Kevin is capable. He does have a mistake or two in, particularly when he is chasing down a win. But if you make mistakes in front of him, he will capitalise on them and he will close that gap on you. And as it stands now, with an 8-second gap, I think you're in a position where you are in control. With a 2.3-second gap, not so much. And we see there how much time Wendigo lost with whatever happened that's cost him that time. I mean, that's a big blow, because now Kevin can see you. And when he can see you, that's when he'll hunt you down. And bear in mind, of course, Wendigo will need to pit before Kevin does as well. That's the other thing. Knudsen in a slightly better position on fuel than Kevin. Of course, he's got a lot more fuel on board, which does mean when he comes in for tyres next, which will probably be before Kevin needs to go in, he'll have less fuel to put on board, and as such, we'll put him in a slightly quicker pit stop. But still got the work to do. But he has now pulled out 5-second gap over Pleasurecraft in 4th. Stormfly just 2 seconds behind Pleasurecraft, still looking for a way into that top 4. And if you can find a way past Pleasurecraft into that top 4, and he will need to pit soon, of course, then you know you're one more target for a top 3 essentially. But he will need to pit in the next couple of laps. We just saw TJ diving into the pits. Arminis, he'll be pitting in the next lap or 2. I said lap 27, 28 was the kind of pit window we were looking at, and I think I'm pretty much spot on with that one. Demos has finally changed out those medium compound tyres. He's back out in 7th position, 25 seconds behind Arminis, 1.4 ahead of TJ, who's just come out on very fresh racing soft tyres, and will be hunting down the Greek driver, who is 1.5 seconds up the road. Then we've got a completely different race going on further up the racetrack. That's there on a lap back, essentially. Xerxity, who's got Bandit crawling all over the back of him like a... I was going to say something really rude then, I'm not going to. He's crawling all over the back of him, looking for a way to get past the American driver, the Dutchman Bandit, in the NSX. Lego NSX, racing up against this Nissan GT500. Then another race further back. He's currently being lapped, or about to be lapped by Demos and TJ, who are running in 7th and 8th. Oldman J running in 11th place. He's 1 minute behind, and Bandit makes that move on Xerxity up into 9th position. 55 seconds up the road is his next target, TJ. That's going to take some doing to catch him, because TJ is actually lapping a relatively solid pace at the moment, which is going to be difficult to match. And he's right up, he's come behind Old Man J, coming through to lap him, getting a little bit slipstream just to help him along on his way to his target ahead. Christo Bratvinov 10.3 seconds back from Old Man GA at the moment. 3 minutes off the leader. 18 seconds ahead though of Rob. And every time we flash to Rob, he's either going onto the grass or coming off the grass. He basically likes to spend a lot of time on the grass, essentially. There's your race leader. The gap is down to just 0.7 of a second. He had a bad lap 26, and that just gave Kevin a big bolster of confidence, because the 8-second gap dropped right down to 2 seconds, and Kevin has put in a blistering fastest lap of the race, at 2 minutes 0.5 to close that gap on Wendigo, and now put him under significant pressure. And the back end of that car, Kevin, just stepping out, which gives a bit of a breather to Wendigo. He does Rests that slide and keeps the car in the mix, but did lose the back end a little bit there. So Wendigo will pit before Kevin. How long can he hold him off? They're getting blue flags as well. Now, what happened last time we saw a couple of cars, especially with Kevin involved, behind a blue flag, it actually gifted Kevin a couple of positions and got him into the top 3. That was at Bathurst last week. Caught behind some blue flaggers in the mountain section, and it just allowed them to close up. Not really going to have the same problem here. It's a much wider racetrack, much easier to clear the back markers here because you've got a bit more open road. But that is, I think that's Earth City ahead of them right now. So Stormfly into the pits. He is currently running in 6th place, but this is the battle for the lead of this race between Wendigo and Kevin 77. Kevin 77, of course, started at the back of the grid, being that he was is the championship leader currently. Just approaching the halfway mark. By the time we finish this lap, we will be halfway through this race and on lap 30 of what will be a 60-lap race. So here they go, coming up behind Zersity now is Wendigo and Kevin. How quickly do they get past him? And can Wendigo get past without Kevin following him through and give himself a little bit of a breather, even if it is only for a few seconds, a couple of corners? But they both breeze past together. So this race is still on. Just up ahead is another target, another back marker, of course. But Wendigo still holding Kevin off. Kevin's sticking with him like glue, and it's almost like they're racing around here in formation. Kevin tucked in. He's up the inside, looking for a move there. Does he get it done? Side by side they are. Wendigo just holding off, and will have the inside line going into turn 1 at the end of this straight. They're racing side by side. Kevin tried to make the move up the inside, but Wendigo just held on, and he's still holding on. Kevin round the outside, still trying to make that move. Can he get it done? Not this time, but he's not giving it up. A little touch in the back of Wendigo, but Wendigo survives. Nothing doing there. Holds him off. That is great racing from these two drivers. Side by side for a lot of the end of that lap, and giving each other just enough respect, but not too much that you let the car just breeze through. Arminis dives into the pits from 5th position, dropping down immediately into 6th. We will go through the rest of the pack in a minute, but at the moment, the battle is all about this one. Wendigo and Kevin battling out for the lead of this race. It is the guy who won last time out, and the guy who came second last time out, battling for first and second here. Newton, who was in the lead of the race early doors, back in third and not really involved in the battle for the lead. And we're just starting to see the light fading. We're going to move into the night race, which will be awesome. So Kevin having another little look. They are again side by side heading up. This time Kevin's got the inside line. He makes the move. Wendigo goes for the old switcheroo, and he makes that move, sticking his back into the lead of this race. He is not giving this up anytime soon. I love that move. Is one of my favourite, old switcheroo. Let the guy make that little dive up the inside and go wide, and then you just tuck in and make the move back and take it back after the apex. Let them go in early. You take your line and dive up the inside and regain that position. Coming up behind Bandit, who I'm sure will get out of the way nice and quickly, and let them breeze through. There goes Wendigo, he's through. There goes Kevin, he's through as well. And Bandit just sticking to the outside there. He's actually in between Kevin and Wendigo. Kevin didn't get that move done, so Wendigo's going to get a bit of a breather, and Kevin's going to have to make this move past Bandit into turn 1. How quickly can Wendigo get through? Can he open up a big enough gap? Well, he's broken away a little bit, but not significantly, because Kevin got a really good run out of turn 1, and he's round the outside again, having another little look. But Wendigo again just placing the car to make it difficult for Kevin to get through. And Kevin is jiggling around all behind him, trying to find any way through, making a move up the inside here. Again, no doings. He's got the inside line this time. Wendigo holding on side by side. He has taken the lead of this race, but for how long? Wendigo has to tuck in behind. Up the inside, he looks here. Can he make the move on Kevin? No, he can't. So finally, Kevin does get through to take the lead of this race from Wendigo. Wendigo, of course, will pit very soon. Kevin's got a few more laps left yet before he has to do the same. So he has now taken the lead of this race, and I fear this endurance series is going to go the way of every other series. That Kevin practices shit out of it and then wins everything. But no, great racing for them two. Absolutely, 3 laps of side by side racing, giving each other neither giving an inch nor the other taking a mile. Really, really great racing from 2 brilliant racing drivers. Okay, moving on. 6 seconds back is someone else who's still in for a podium place, of course. That's Knudsen, running 5.9 seconds behind Kevin and Wendigo out in the lead. And he's got 9 seconds ahead, nearly 10 seconds ahead of the other Lithuanian driver, Pressure Craft, running in 4th. He's got a lovely little gap, a 25 second gap behind to VR46. Stormfly running in a sort of little click of his own. It's a race of one. It's almost a time trial for him at the moment. He's as I said, he's not really found the pace to challenge that top 4. But too quick for those guys in sort of 6th, 7th, 8th to catch up to the back of him. Armitage GT, he is slap bang in the middle of this racetrack, 6th place. Some good steady laps. He's been into the pits. He'll run now. One more stop for him before the end of this race. I would have thought maybe 2, depending on how much fuel he decides to put on. He's 13 seconds back from Stormfly, 2.5 seconds clear of Demos, running in 7th. Demos, though, is not safely or comfortable in 7th. He's got TJ 1.5 seconds back, who will desperately want to get that car moving forward and into at least a chance of getting into the top 6. 1.5 seconds currently back from Demos. Then it's a whole minute back to Bandit, who is starting to find a bit of pace now. Didn't have a great start to this race and was running way back in last place for some time. But has started to find a little bit of pace, started to find a bit of rhythm. 31 seconds ahead of Xerxes, who has pretty much run in 10th position all the way through this race. In his own little niche. He's 1 minute 11 seconds clear of Old Man Jay, who still holds a lead over Risto Bratvanov, DRE Hardwire, of course. That is 9.8 seconds is that gap. And then clear to go Rob is on lap 30, same lap as Risto, to be fair. Only 11 seconds back from him, so potentially looking for a position there. As we see Wendigo diving into the pits as the light fades here at Kyoto, and we start to see a change in the track evolution as the light fades and your brake points change and your reference points change, and you start doing it more on muscle memory than anything else. So Kevin leads from Knudsen now, 9.5 seconds. Knudsen will need to pit, I think somewhere around lap 36, 37. Depends how confident he feels. We saw how confident he felt with the tyres last time out. He was happy to take the tyres right down to the wire, literally to the wire. So will he do that again? And if he does, what are we looking at? 36, 37 before he comes in. He's got a bit more fuel on board than Kevin ahead of him, but Kevin has been looking after his tyres better. So it's a difficult one to call, because in terms of the pits, Kevin will need to be in the pits for longer because he'll need to put on more fuel. However, we know that what sort of lap times he's capable of, and we've seen that he's now doing steady 2.0 or steady high 2.01s since he's taken the lead of this race from Wendigo. Wendigo is back out in 3rd position, 12 seconds behind Knudsen, but easily will regain that 2nd place when Knudsen does come in a few laps' time to change out his tyres. And 21 seconds clear of Stormfly. And why I think Pleasurecraft went into the pits actually. Yeah, Pleasurecraft just been in and out of the pits, which is why Stormfly is now up to 4th place. Difficult to tell actually where they slot in these two, because their pit strategy is slightly different than pretty much everyone's on a differing pit strategy. But if they are now synced up in terms of pitting, and we're looking at Stormfly there, he's going to have to pit. He's running the medium class now. He's going to have to pit in probably one more time, I think. Whereas Pleasurecraft, yeah, they're quite similar in terms of tyres and fuel. Although with Stormfly being on the mediums, of course, it can last longer, which I'm told is a good thing. Apparently. And yeah, so Arminus in there's 2.2 seconds behind Pleasurecraft. So there is a potential top 5 in there for Arminus if you could just up that pace a little bit. Pleasurecraft at the moment, taking that anomaly 205 out of the equation, is lapping in the low to mid 203s. Arminus consistently in the high 202s. So we could be seeing Pleasurecraft here under a bit of pressure from his Lithuanian compadre, shall we say. Looking forward to seeing if that can be pulled off. So Kevin leads the way. 12.2 seconds is his current lead of this race over Knudsen 1984, or Knudsen, however you want to pronounce it. I happen to know it's Newton, but yeah, some could say that's Knudsen, but of course it's not. He is probably about 4 laps away from changing out those tyres. That'll open up the gap significantly, and that will allow Wendigo back into 2nd place. The question is, of course, has Kevin done enough? And I think already 12 seconds clear. He is 22 seconds clear of Wendigo. Now he's got ahead of him. Strange message coming in. So I thought that it was more urgent than it was. It wasn't at all urgent, it turns out. So yeah, I think Kevin's done enough now to win this race. Him and Wendigo were racing so closely for so long, but Kevin just won out, and Wendigo goes into the pits. And it's just opened up that gap. Yeah, Kevin's still got to pit again, and it could throw a spanner in the works and change things up. So we'll see what happens there. Just having a quick look at the divisions at the moment for the GT Champions World Cup, and Bandits, Arminus are now down in Division 3. 45 drivers now have put down a time. Rose is up to 6th place, pushing Slipstream and Monkey Man down to 7th and 8th, but they still hold on in Division 1. Kaizan just holding on in Division 1 as well in 14th place for Black Flag. Then in Division 2, Knudsen, who's currently racing here, he is currently in Division 2, sitting at 22. Nidapu, dozen laps, see you soon, in that order. From Bipolar Express. He's coming to put his time in soon as well. Jay down into Division 3, as is Arminus and Bandit, both dropping down to Division 3. Division 2, I don't think we have any Black Flag drivers in Division 2 at the moment. We do not, although if 2 or 3 people stick themselves in Division 1, we'll see Kaizan dropping into Division 2. Of course, that's not it's not a train smash by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah, there we go. But I will be jumping back in there in the next about an hour and 20 minutes or whatever while it's going on. Anyway, back to the current race. I did say I would keep an eye on it while we were racing here. Right, it is well and truly night time now. Yellow flag. Who is that for? Who is facing in the wrong direction? Can't see who. Oh, there he is. There's Risto.
You can't park that there, mate.
Joni loves Chachi!
Yeah, Joni does love Chachi, that is true. So, crash this, whatever inroads he was making towards our man Jay, has just been absolutely scuppered. He's now 51 seconds ahead of Clear to Go. 15 seconds behind old man Jay, who is still 1 minute 11. He's not, the gap's not getting any bigger, but it's not getting any smaller. It's 1 minute 11 seconds to Zesty in 10th. He is 51 seconds behind Bandit, who's now started to find himself a bit of a rhythm. But 1 minute 19 seconds to TJ. It's not enough rhythm to change anything there for the better. TJ still desperately chasing down Demos, but can't seem to get it under 2 seconds. Just 2.2 seconds to Demos in 7th, who is 6.5 seconds behind Arminis GT, who is really bearing down now on the back of Pleasurecraft. Of course, Pleasurecraft is named after my Willie, as we said earlier. But Pleasurecraft was running in the top 3 initially, but just in this, as we sort of, we passed the midpoint of this race into darkness, we just find him dropping down the order a little bit. He's closing slowly on Stormfly, but can't push that 4.6 second gap down quick enough, I don't think. And I think he's going to be under significant pressure from Arminis behind soon to be more focused on what's going on behind him than what's going on up ahead. Bear with me.
Because you just spent half an hour in the shower. She picked her hair, but how long? Just had it in her rug. She's having a towel.
Seriously, folks, if you haven't got kids, don't have them. They're weird. They're really odd and they steal all your money. 13 and a half seconds, Stormfly's gap to Newton. Listen, the top 3 is not out of the question. There's still 45 minutes to go in this race. Still plenty of racing to be done. Still a good sort of 24 laps to go. But it's going to take some work if he's going to get into that top 3, because it's 13 and a half seconds is the current gap to Newton. Newton, who led this race in before the first pit stop quite significantly, but at one stage he was 10 seconds clear. In the second stage of the race, Wendigo sort of took control, and he led the race for that sort of second spell. And then Kevin got involved, as he always does, and he's now 21 seconds clear of Wendigo. He's going to pit very soon, which will, I'm sure, promote Wendigo back to the lead of this race. However, with the pits being out of sync, the question is going to be whether Kevin can go to the end of the race so essentially he's going to be needing to do just over 45 minutes on one set of soft tyres, or does he go for mediums and just run for longer? That's the question. What does Kevin do in this next pit stop? How far does he stretch his final kind of 45 minutes of this race? He's still got a couple of laps to go before he needs to come in yet, but he will be coming in shortly. So his priority is going to be to build as much of a gap as possible, as quickly as possible. But of course, Wendigo will need to stop again at some stage as well. So the question is really going to be whether Kevin has 1 or 2 more stops to go in this race. Newton certainly, I think, will have 1 more. But again, he's got so much fuel on board, he doesn't have to worry about refueling so much when he does pop some more tyres on towards the end of this race. Now, I don't recall if Newton has put on medium compound tyres as yet. I'm sure he... I can't actually remember. I'm not going to pass a judgment on whether he has or hasn't, because I can't actually remember. And there's been times when I've chastised people for not doing it, and they had already done it. Stormfly running in 4th, as I said. That gap is opening up now. It's 15 seconds. I think it's going to be through studious use of pit stops. I think is the only way Stormfly's going to be able to catch Newton. He's going to have to get lucky through a pit window, or hope for a little squirrely Newton catching a wall or some grass or facing the wrong direction. Right, Pleasurecraft. Early front runner. He was, in the top 3. Briefly led really early doors, but has not been able to maintain that consistent pace throughout the sort of mid portion of the race now, and finds himself, look, don't get me wrong, 5th, top 5 here is not, it's not shit by any stretch of the imagination, and all the drivers here are doing a sterling job. But if you've been running in the top 3, you would be disappointed if you come midpoint of the race, you're down in 5th place. He's on a different strategy to Stormfly, of course, so there may still be that coming into play. So Kevin goes into the pits. So going to be interesting to see now what he does. Is he going to be able to go to the end of the race from whatever he decides to do here? In terms of fuel, he's only got fuel enough to the end of the race, but it's whether he can get soft compound tyres to last that long, or whether he goes on mediums to run to the end. Right. Personally, I don't see how he's going to go to the end like that. I think he's going to have to stop again. He doesn't come out in the lead. He comes out 1.7 seconds behind Wendigo. Wendigo will obviously need to pit again. And Wendigo actually now has the fastest lap of the race with a 2 minutes 5:49. And Kevin wasn't far off that. It's can't be much. He shaved off Kevin's time to put that in. So it is going to be a straight. I think they're both going to have to stop again before the end. I can't see how Kevin is taking... we've got 40 minutes left of this race, and he didn't last 40 minutes on the soft tyres previously, so I can't see how he's going to do it now. But listen, Kevin does amazing things with the cars on a regular basis, so who knows? Who knows? But I have a feeling that he's not going to be able to last the distance without a stop. And certainly not at any kind of significant pace anyway. But who knows? What the fuck do I know? It's the reason why I'm a commentator and not a racing driver. So Wendigo we know has to stop again. Kevin I think has to stop again. Knudsen, he will have to change out those tyres before the end of the race. They're not going to last until the end. So he's got one more stop to go. Stormfly, he will definitely have another stop to go. And Pleasurecraft just closing that gap now on the back of Stormfly. So Pleasurecraft not giving up on a potential top 3. Certainly not giving up on a top 4 here. But he's the one that had to give way for Kevin to burst his way into that gaggle of the top 3. 4.7 seconds back to Arminis. He's still not out of this either. We know Pleasurecraft's going to have to stop again. Arminis is definitely going to have to stop again as well, as will Demos, and that'll be relatively shortly. TJ, yeah, he'll be stopping again, probably on this lap. Bandit will have to stop again as well. He is just coming up to lap Old Man Jay. He's in 9th place. Old Man Jay's in 11th. It just goes to show the difference in pace between some of these cars on these long run endurance races. 52 seconds is the gap back to Zersity. And he is 1 minute 14 seconds clear of Old Man Jay. Now Zersity will need to, I think, probably change out those tyres towards the end of the race. Old Man Jay certainly will need to change tyres, but he won't need the fuel. He's got plenty of fuel that will take him right to the end of this race. Hristo Bratvanov, or D.R.E. Hardware, as he's otherwise known. He's running in 12th position. He's 11.4 seconds behind Old Man Jay. And he's got Stormfly coming up behind him to lap him. Then 52 seconds back to clear to go, or clear to go slowly, as the case might be. Right, TJ into the pits. That'll be his last pit stop, I think, for this race, depending, of course, what tyres he chooses to put on. I don't know, actually. 40 minutes like that. Big ask, I think. Big ask. I'm trying to remember when everyone... I think it was 15 laps people were doing after the first stint, so we've still got 20 laps to go. I think it's a task. Right, Wendigo leads still from Kevin. The gap is 1 second. The longer he can stay ahead before he goes into the pits, the better. Because certainly if Kevin needs to stop again, which I feel he does, Wendigo certainly does, of course. Does Knudsen come into play at some point? He is back out in 3rd. The gap is 29 seconds. He is on the soft compound tyre. He's got plenty of fuel on board. He's just coming up behind Bandit to lap him. Now the question is, how much time can he gain on those ahead? I'm questioning whether those tyres will last. If the tyres can last 40 minutes, then both Kevin and Newton stay on this racetrack and don't have to pit again. And then Wendigo, who does have to pit again, will probably find himself possibly, well, certainly not in first place, but possibly in a battle with Newton for second. But he will be on fresher tyres. There will be that to consider. Now, Kevin currently on the back of Wendigo, trying to find a way through. Remember the last time these two battled out, it went on for nearly 3 laps of side-by-side racing between these two. And it looks like we're going to have some more of the same. Wendigo's not going to give this up. Excuse me. Yeah, he's definitely not going to give this up. But the question mark is going to be about whether Kevin can last till the end. I don't think he can, but I didn't actually write down how long the tyres and fuel lasted in the first stint for those on the soft compound tyres. Although I think it was laps. I think it was 17 or 18 laps they did, if I remember rightly. Something like that before they came in. So if that's the case, then yeah, possibly we could see him make it to the end with a little bit of saving. But he's trying to put some pressure on Wendigo now, find that way through. And he'll want to get past as quickly as possible, because all the time he's in that dirty area, and all the time he's pushing to get past. He's taking more out of the tyres than he'll want to at this stage, especially if he wants them to last to the end of this race. Now, as Wendigo does have to pit again, he may not know that. That's the thing. He may not know that Wendigo is needing to go in again. So he's gonna his job will be to pass him on the racetrack, and then worry about who's pitting when later. That's not something that he's concerned with now. What he's concerned with is track position. That's the key thing for him. And he's trying to find that by finding a way past Wendigo, who's doing a fabulous, sterling job at just keeping Kevin at bay. My drink is running low. I have to get a new one in there. Pleasure Class found his way past Stormfly back up into that top 4. Arminus not closing on the back of Stormfly, but remember, Stormfly's still got a pit. So has Arminus, of course, but many stranger things have happened, of course. Demos will need to get rid of those tyres. TJ potentially running to the end of this race, if those soft tyres can hold out for that many laps, which I'm still questioning, of course. I don't think they can do more than 17 or 18 laps without putting you in big fucking trouble. But we'll see. 22 seconds to Demos, but if he does run to the end of this race, he should at least bump up to 7th position. He's coming up now behind, Demos is coming up behind Bandit by the looks of things. So, yeah, he is coming up behind Bandit. So 7th, coming up to lap 9th, and 9th is not long ago lapped 11th. There's Zersti coming into the pits for his final stop of the race. 32 seconds behind Bandit. 1 minute 29 seconds of Old Man J, although that will come down to about a minute 10 or thereabouts. Hristo Brafanov is 12 seconds behind Old Man J. He's running on medium tyres though. J is on fresh soft tyres, which he's hoping to take him to the end of this race. We are not far away from the 30-minute mark here. Now, I said 60 laps, but I think with pit stops and stuff, it's going to turn out to be something more like 55-ish laps. Because what we did 15 laps in the first 30 minutes. And then I don't know, we're not far off of it. We're not far off. We'll wait and see. We look at the front runners, I mean, they're on lap 43, so actually, it's probably not so far off for the front runners for 60 laps, to be fair. Bear with me while I just go and refresh my drinky booze. I have returned with lubrication for my sore throat. Right. So, Kevin, has he been into the pits or has he had a... Well, it looks like to me like he's had a little accident. This could change the complexion of this race. He's pushing and he's made a mistake and that has cost him some time. 10 seconds now Wendigo leads by, but we know Wendigo needs to pit again. The question is whether or not Kevin needs to. Now, if he needs to, that's a moot point. He'll still take the lead of this race. If he doesn't need to, he'll still take the lead of this race and should go on to win. So what a good getting a drink. I need to have some bloody drink though. Then, of course, that's changed the complexion for Knudsen. He's now only 18 seconds behind Kevin, with a potential. He could potentially be staring at a podium, or a high step at the podium, should I say, from third to second. Pleasurecraft 10 seconds back in fourth place. He won't give up the idea of potentially getting himself onto a podium place. And just to point out, fastest lap is just over 2 minutes. 2 minutes, 0.003. So I asked the question, if there is a sub 2 minute lap potentially in this race, and I still think the answer to that question is fuck yeah. Who do I think is going to do it? I think if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Kevin on the charge after Wendigo. Whether or not he gets it, that's another question, of course. Whether he gets the the under 2 minutes, or whether he gets first place as well is the other question. But he'll die trying. Absolutely will die trying. But he will desperately not want to finish second to Wendigo again. That's Stormfly. You can't park that there, mate. That's the wrong part of the racetrack there, my friend. Absolutely wrong part of the racetrack.
You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words.
Yes, you have indeed. Right, any battles on this racetrack? Well, Rob, 53 seconds back. He's not battling anything other than his ability to stay on the black stuff. Old man Jay, well, there's a potential battle up ahead with Fristo. He's going to the end of this race, old man Jay. Fristo also is, but it looks like old man Jay's had a problem. Yeah, he had a 2:32, so he's had a crash somewhere, which has allowed Fristo to get ahead of him. Can he put some pressure on Fristo to make Fristo make a mistake? Xercity, 1 minute 17 seconds back from him, is the closest rival, and 1 minute 3 seconds ahead of him. He's not going to be battling anyone this race, other than maybe a couple of cars lapping him. Bandit didn't start well, but he's finishing strongly in 9th. He is a lap back from TJ, that's why we don't have we do 1 minute 47 seconds to TJ, who is in 8th place, 3.2 behind Demos. Just doesn't seem to be able to close up on Demos and then take that position. When you look at Demos' lap times, they're certainly slower than TJ's been putting in, but it doesn't look like TJ's getting close enough to make a move. Listen, it could still happen. There is Demos, 3.1 seconds to Arminis. And again, Arminis is doing some really solid lap times on those soft compound tyres. Although he did have a bad lap last time out. Oh, but that was that's because it was an out lap from an out and an in lap to the pits. 15 seconds to Stormfly. Stormfly's going to go into the pits. So actually, it looks like Arminis could be nicking a top 5 here and leaving Stormfly to potentially have a battle with Demos for 6th position. Interesting, said the spider to the fly. No, he didn't say shit. The spider just stayed all quiet until the fly flew into his net and then he ate the motherfucker. 11 seconds to Pleasurecraft, Stormfly. They're both going to have to pit again. Stormfly first, Pleasurecraft second. Do you know what? Don't count Arminis out of a potential top 4 here, you know. The 2 cars in front of him have to pit again. And he's 15 seconds behind Stormfly, 11 seconds behind Pleasurecraft. It's not beyond the realms of possibility that Arminis is going to be plodding around there in 6th and right at the last just go, thank you very much, give it a bit of the Leroy and just send it in the last few laps and get himself up into that top 4. Without a significant accident, I don't think we're going to see a change in the top 3. And as it stands at the moment, Knudsen is on the bottom of those 3 podium steps. 13.7 seconds clear of Pleasurecraft, but a whole 21 seconds behind Kevin. If he needs to pit for tyres again, which I think he will do, looking at the wear there, that potentially puts him into the kind of radar of Pleasurecraft and Stormfly, but of course they both need to pit as well, so he won't be significantly worried about that. Unless of course he knows. He doesn't know, then maybe he will be. Kevin, I've asked a question about tyres. Will they make it to the end? I'm still not entirely convinced they will. He's closed that gap to Wendigo back down to 6.2 seconds. Wendigo's going to pit at some stage in the next couple of laps. About 13 laps remaining for these front runners. We've got 25 minutes left of this race. This was a 2-hour race. For anyone that hasn't been here up to this stage, this is Black Flag Racing TV. This is round 5 of the Staying Power Endurance Series. We're at Kyoto in Japan. This is Yamagiwa and Miyabi race track. This is the midway point of the series. No race next week. Next week is GT Fusion Week, which is always a busy week for many people. Several hundred drivers competing in that next week. We'll be back on the 1st of April. April Fool's Day, I believe it is. It is indeed. We'll be here at Fuji for more Staying Power action. What else is going on in the world of Black Flag? Well, after this, it won't be on Black Flag, it'll be on GT Champions, of course. The qualifying is still going on for the GT Champions World Cup. The current divisions at the moment. Let's have a look at where everybody is. So, Slipstream and Monkey Man still in that top 10. Slipstream in 7th, Monkey Man in 8th. Just ahead of Kawazuri, putting a really solid lap for High Pre. Mazda tops out the table, and he's the first sub 170 driver, 169.814 he's put on. Kaizan still hanging on, 14th position in Division 1. Division 2 is headed at the moment by Toto Wolff JP. We've got in that group, we have no Black Flag drivers at all competing in Division 2 as it stands. Although this guy here, Knudsen, who's currently running 3rd on the racetrack, does sit in that Division 2 in the sort of middle point, 22nd position. Division 3 headed by Corentus at the moment with Scarface just behind him. Bandit 34th and Armin's 35th in that division there. With also we've got Devlin and Jay 42nd and 43rd in that group. Still got a couple of drivers left to qualify. No, Goods Trooper still needs to go out there and set a time at some stage. I don't know when he's going to do that. I think Wendigo also needs to set a time. I'm sure Wendigo said he was racing in GT Champions. I could be wrong. Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see how they get on. I think as well, it's not Ricardo's need to put in a laptop as well. We'll see. But at the moment, it's looking good for certainly for having a couple of drivers in at least 3 of the 4 divisions. Moving swiftly on. I'm looking at the wrong thing now. There we go. Okay, so Wendigo still leads. The gap's been cut now down to 2.5 seconds. And his pit window is well and truly open. It's so open the cold air is coming in and my toes are freezing. So he's going to be diving into the pits very, very shortly. And the longer we go into this race, the more it looks like Kevin might just drag those tyres right to the end. Old man Jay giving him a little flash to say, hello. I don't know what he's flashing for. He's suggesting he moves out of the way. And we asked if a driver was going to do a sub 2-minute lap. We suggested that it would be Kevin that did it. And it bloody was a 1:59.982. The first driver to go sub 2 minutes in this race. So there we go. Wendigo into the pits. Kevin stays out. There are 21 minutes left of this race. And I've got to say, I think Kevin is going to make it to the end on these tyres. And if that's the case, he will resoundingly win here. Wendigo comes back out in second. He's running the medium tyres. He has to run mediums. So he's going to run to the end of this race now for the final 20 minutes. He's got plenty of fuel on board to make it. Knudsen, he still needs to put on some fresh tyres. He's not going to make it to the end on those tyres. He is 11 seconds behind Wendigo, 15 seconds clear of Pleasurecraft, but he does need to pit. As does Pleasurecraft. He'll do that on the next lap or so. As Armanis will not need to. Armanis now up to 5th. Stormfly did his pit. He has come back out behind TJ, 1.7 seconds behind TJ. Now TJ can run to the end of this race, but Stormfly is going to have significant work to do to get back into that top 5. And I would have suggested he was a shoo-in for the top 5, 10 or 11 laps ago, but now things looking very, very different out there. Ahead, who needs to still pit? Demos is going to run. Well, actually, I think Demos is going to struggle for fuel. I think he might have to really short shift and really fuel save to the end here, which could potentially allow TJ and Stormfly to close up on him. Certainly to get to close that gap down. Armin is in a really good position. He's got plenty of fuel. He's got plenty of tyres. He's going to push and potentially catch Pleasurecraft when Pleasurecraft comes into the pits, which might be this lap. If not this lap, then certainly the end of lap 50. And that's where we are. We're on lap 49 of what will be a 60-lap race here at Kyoto in Japan. It is currently dark out there, as you can see, although it's not super dark. You can still see the cars quite well. Kevin in the lead, 17.9 seconds. Fastest lap of the race for him is a 1:59.982, which is superbly shifty. Shifty, I mean in terms of he shifted very quickly, not shifty as in you don't want to let him near a primary school, of course. 18.2 seconds from Wendigo. Only a crash could change things. Now, a crash or the need to pit could change things. Right, Pleasurecraft's in. So Knudsen's going to be safely not troubled at the moment. The question is, where is Armanis? Armanis is coming round that final turn now. Pleasurecraft is just leaving the pits. Armanis up to speed. Here he comes. Will he make the move on Pleasurecraft? Can he get ahead of him, or does Pleasurecraft come out? He doesn't. Pleasurecraft does come out ahead of Armanis, but the gap is down to 4.6 seconds. So he has closed that gap, but not quite. He wasn't quite close enough to capitalise on it. Has Pleasurecraft underfueled in him? No, but he's put on mediums to the end. Armanis has the softs. Now, that could come into play. If Pleasurecraft can't get the same kind of performance out of the mediums, Armanis could still close that gap, which is only 4.2 seconds. I was a little bit worried that maybe, and I've done it before, you get in the pits and you've got a very limited gap to the car behind, and you want to get out and try and make sure you stay out in front. You don't have to chase them down, and you can be at risk of kind of underfueling, just kind of seconds go, I'll do, and then coming out. But it looks to me that he's got enough. So to take it to the end without too much of a strain. Right, that gap's still opening out front. Kevin's now 19 seconds clear of Wendigo, and it doesn't look like, well, I say it doesn't look like he's going to pit, but he's starting to see some wear on that front right tyre, as you can see right there. We'll have a look through the tyres actually for everybody to take a gander at. Right, so there we go, tyres and fuel for Kevin. Running to the end of this race. Medium tyres for Wendigo. No question whether he can make it to the end. Absolutely can. Now, Knudsen into the pits. The gap back to Pleasurecraft, 33.9 seconds. So here comes Knudsen. In he comes. He's going to change out the tyres. He doesn't need to put in any fuel. There should be a very quick pit stop. He's putting a blast of fuel in. He doesn't need to. Why is he putting so much fuel in? He doesn't need any fuel at all. He had plenty to take him. That is significantly overfueled. The car's going to be a bit slower. Look, he was far enough ahead of Pleasurecraft for it not to be too big a deal. But why would you take the risk? Why would you put on quite so much fuel? The gap's 16 seconds. So, you know, it shouldn't be too big a problem. But Kevin, this is where starting on the medium tyres pays off. Because Kevin's now on the softs to the end of this race. If he can hold them into this race, of course. Wendigo, Newton, Pleasurecraft, all having to finish on the medium compound tyre. Arminis on those softs. That gap to Pleasurecraft is down to 3 seconds already. If I was Pleasurecraft, I'd be afraid. Be very afraid. In fact, I'd probably be crapping myself a little bit. We will see. And I'll tell you what will happen. If Arminis does get past Pleasurecraft... but, you know, it is what it is. Demos 4.6 seconds behind Arminis. He's not going to catch him. His pace hasn't been good enough to, all day really, to catch out Arminis, so he's going to stay there in 6th. Is he under any danger from TJ? Well, I mean, TJ's had plenty of opportunity to try and put the moves on him, but he hasn't been able to really close that gap to much under 4 seconds. I mean, it's 3.6 now, but he hasn't really been close enough to put any kind of challenge on. And I think his concern at the moment is going to be the onrushing Stormfly for the last portion of this race, where he's 1.7 seconds back and closing on TJ. Gap back to Bandit. Bandit's on an entire lap back now. 3.5 minutes behind the leaders. 35 seconds ahead of Zersity, who is 1 minute 43 seconds ahead of Christoph Ratvanov of Bulgaria. 6.8 seconds clear of Old Man J. So he's closed that gap down as Old Man J, and he's continually pushing. Still a chance for him to nick 11th place from Hardwire. 1 minute 32 seconds back to Rob. Clear to go. Clear to go slowly. Fastest man on the racetrack, of course, surprise, is Kevin 77. He's called Kevin 77 because he is 77 years old and he has 77. He has 7 toes and 7 fingers on each hand, which make him incredibly good at juggling and fingering. Not so great at clapping because it's too loud. 20 seconds almost is the gap to Wendigo. If you can hold on to those tyres for the rest of this race, the race belongeth to him. If he does have to pit, he might be fucked. We will see. Wendigo running second. Newton put on fuel like it isn't one of the most expensive things on the freaking planet right now. Maybe that's it. Maybe because you can't put loads in your car for real life. When you come onto Gran Turismo, you want to get loads, like stockpile of shit. Fill up your tanks with fuel and drive around with really heavy cars just because you can. I've got a cut in the back of my leg and it's fucking annoying now. I need to put my dressing back on, but I'll do that in a minute. And I did say dressing and not dress, of course. Okay, 8.5 seconds. Arminis has got past Pleasurecraft. Quite significantly past Pleasurecraft as one of those medium tyres. And he's now 8.6 seconds behind Newton. Is that doable? Well, look, there's 8 laps remaining. There's still, just 10, 13 minutes left. So essentially, 8 laps there or thereabouts. Newton, we need to see what Newton's pace is like after the pits. You do 2:19 and 2:11 on his out lap. They don't really count because that's not proper race pace. And when he crosses the line here, we'll see what his pace is like. Is he sub 2 minutes? He's not far off. Actually, that's quite slow now, actually. A 2:02.399. Arminis is doing just under 2:01s. 2:02.3. That's a second a lap. That's not enough. He needs about 1.5 seconds a lap over Newton if he wants to have a shot at him on the last lap. 2 seconds a lap would be better to give him more chance. It's not out of the realms of possibility for Arminis to rob himself a podium position here. If I were Newton, I would just up that pace a little tad because Arminis is coming for you, baby. Pleasurecraft, is he now going to drop into the clutches of Demos on those medium compound tyres? 205, 204, 203. They're his best offerings on the mediums. That is not the way to drive the car.
You can't park that there, mate.
He does rescue it without hitting the wall, but it would have cost himself significant time. And it's a 3.2 seconds now to Demos. But Demos is going to have to pit. Again, he's not got enough fuel to get to the end of this race, I don't think. There's no way he can get 5 more laps out of that car. And if he does, then we'll have to go and speak to Samuel Jackson, because it will be a freaking miracle.
What happened here was a miracle, and I want you to fucking acknowledge it.
Yeah, I can't see it happening though. If he makes it to the end of this race with that fuel, I will eat one of my own testicles. I've just realised, I've just said live on air that I'll eat one of my own testicles if he does it. And there's every possibility he might fuel map 6 this. Or just run out of fuel and get to the end. Because technically that will work. So I'm going to take that back, because if he runs out of fuel and just decides to run to the end anyway, then technically I would have to eat one of my testicles, and I don't want to do that. Let's just suffice to say, I think he has to pit again. That will allow Stormfly to move up to 6th place. We'll see how that works out for him. Kevin has 77 fingers to make it better at fingering. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I've just realised what you're saying. I was thinking, because I was thinking of fingering on the guitar. But, yeah, actually, it makes sense now. It's actually funnier now I think of it like that. It's only when I read it and and I said fingering, yeah. 77 fingers to make him better at fingering. Yeah. Oh well. Yeah, so there he is, Kevin 77. 21 seconds clear. And Wendigo, I think Kevin's going to hold on. I wasn't sure that he was going to be able to hold. He was going to be able to keep to tyre save enough to win this race without compromising pace. But it turns out I was wrong, and he's just a fucking demon, and he's just basically been toying with us the whole time. That he could have gone this fast at the beginning and just chose not to. Which I'm not sure. I don't know. Am I happy about that? Would I rather he just went out there and went fucking balls out from the outset every time, and didn't hold back and didn't toy with it a little bit? Yeah, I think I would. I think I'd rather that than this kind of look, will they, won't they, false hope, when we all know what's actually going to fucking happen. It is what it is. Right, so Wendigo is in second, 40 seconds clear of Knudsen, who I thought might be under a bit of pressure from Arminis, but 2023, Arminis with a 2021. He needs 1.5 seconds a lap really to be taken out of him if he wants to steal that podium. He's dropping Pleasurecraft now. Pleasurecraft is holding off from Demos. He's got that back out to 4 seconds after his little wobble on that last lap, which potentially could have cost him time. What's Demos going to do? Is Demos really going to try and hang that car out there for the last 9 minutes of this race? Or did he just get his fuel strategy a little bit wrong? He's not coming into the pitch yet, so clearly he thinks he can stay out there. The thing is, Stormfly can push. He's got plenty of fuel on board there. He can push, so he might actually take Demos on the racetrack, even if Demos doesn't have to pit. And there's not, if Demos is struggling with that fuel now, and he decides to stay on that fuel, well, there's nothing he can do. He can't stop him. There's nothing he can do. It's going to happen, and he might as well lay back and take it and be thankful that he's getting it, because there's nothing he can do to stop it. Bandit running in 9th position, about to be lapped again by Kevin, 77 fingers. Zesty 47 seconds back from Old Man Jay as well. He is miles ahead, should I say, of Old Man Jay, who is again ahead of Hristo Bratvanov, 1.4 seconds ahead of Hristo Bratvanov, who's running on the medium tyres and is finding it very difficult to defend against the onrush of that GTR with racing soft tyres on, of course. Clear to go. Rob is in 13th position, and way at the back, and like 2 days before he'll be finished. He's on lap 52. The leaders are on lap 56. Oh, Kevin off the racetrack on the grass.
You can't park that there, mate.
Not if I get to say that to him, but doesn't lose any real significant time. But he does now after lap Bandit once again. And again, he goes a little bit squirrely. Is fatigue setting in, or is he pushing too hard? Or maybe he's just really, maybe the tires are going off, and he's really mad about about the comment about his fingers. You know, so that there is. I am acutely aware, right? That obviously I've got a very, very sick, typically British sick, warped sense of humour, and I do appreciate that probably doesn't transfer significantly well across other cultures. I don't give a fuck that it doesn't. I'm still going to tell the jokes and tell them the way I tell them, but I am acutely aware that there are people that are fucking snowflakes and can get easily offended by things that I say. Just because they either don't understand it or for whatever reason. I make no apologies for it. I want to be clear that I do not mean to offend anybody, but I can't control what does and doesn't offend you. So you can either listen to what I say and laugh and think it's funny, or you can say I don't particularly like that brand of humour and not listen to it. But I'm never going to change or apologise for what I say. So there is somebody out there who knows exactly who I'm talking about. Someone that made a comment to me a couple of days ago, which I haven't mentioned to anybody, but so I wasn't actually going to address it, but I thought fuck it. But yeah, they sent me a message telling me what they thought about me and the way and my jokes and the way I speak. And this message to you: fuck yourself. If you don't fucking like it, you know where the unsubscribe button is, and I notice you haven't clicked that as yet. So go suck a fat one, you wanker. It genuinely just popped back into my head. It just reminded me of it. Fuck it. Anyway, Kevin77 leads the way. A couple of little wobbles, and it dropped him down a little bit. He's still 19 seconds clear of Wendigo's done run a great race thus far, and probably deserved the win, but for a little kind of slippy here and there, and it's cost him some time. Newton has been in and around that top three from the outset, and it would be a travesty if he didn't get a deserved podium. And I think now, I don't think Arminis has got enough left in the tank to close that down with any significant gusto. And that's a mistake now if anything's changed there. Pleasurecraft, he is still running. Demos still out there. He's still got he's got at least 2 laps to go. At least 2 laps to go, or actually exactly 2 laps to go on that field. Whether he can make it or not is another matter. Stormfly has got ahead of him. I think TJ might catch him as well, because TJ can push, although his tyres looking a little bit ropey. But Demos really can't put in any significant pace. And if you look, his tyres have dropped from the mid to the high 202s right out to 2:05.9 on that last lap. And I imagine it's going to be even slower this lap. Yeah, do you know what, Phil? It's not that I'd forgotten that I got the message. I didn't want to give it any attention at all. And then it literally just occurred to me when obviously we were laughing about the fingering thing. It just occurred to me that this person had commented that they thought I was vile and vulgar, and surprised that YouTube doesn't ban me. Was and that the form that while my commentary might be entertaining, the form that my language takes detracts from my ability to commentate. And I didn't really give it much mind, I thought, but it just popped into my head. But I thought, you know what, fuck you. But they haven't unsubscribed. They are still subscribed to the channel. This is the thing. They could have chosen to unsubscribe and not watch again, but they are still actually subscribed to the channel. I'm unsubscribed from theirs now, though. I will point that out. I did unsubscribe from their channel immediately upon receiving that message. Right, anyway, let's have a full rundown before we get to the end of this race. There's your leader, 18 seconds clear. He's dropped off the pace a little bit. He's got to look after that fuel to get to the end. Wendigo running in second position, and there he shall stay, I think. Newton in third, and there he shall stay, I think. Although he put on so much fuel, I don't quite know why he wanted so much fuel in the car. Maybe he's taking some home. He's very welcome to do so. Arminis GT, he's run a good race today as Arminis, and finds himself comfortably in 4th position, ahead of Pleasurecraft, named after my penis. 2.7 seconds is the gap back to Stormfly, who, while he's going pretty damn quickly, Excuse me, I don't think there's enough time left in this race for him to catch Pleasurecraft at this stage, although you never know. Pleasurecraft has a bad lap. In the next 2 laps, he could potentially catch him. Demos is surely he's going to run out of fuel at some stage. TJ is only 1.1 seconds behind him. I think this long-running chase down that TJ's had chasing down Demos, I think he's going to get him. I just don't think Demos will be able to stop him with the amount of fuel that he doesn't have. Maybe he could try and catch up with Knudsen and see if Knudsen will bung some his way, because Knudsen's got fucking shitloads and Demos has got fucking none. Bandit running in 9th place. He rescued a bad start, got himself up to 9th, but there he shall stay. 1 minute ahead of Zersity in 10th. Olma J 1 minute 29 seconds behind Zersity in 11th. 39 seconds now clear of Christo Bratvanov, who is 1 minute 48 seconds clear of Rob. Clear to go slowly in 13th position. Okay, is this the final lap of the race? It might well be, actually. I think this is the final lap of the race. So I didn't quite make 60 laps. We made just a 59 laps here. Kevin will come home. Actually, we'll have a few cars finishing soon. So there we go. So Knudsen will finish in 3rd. There we go. Race done and dusted for him. 3rd place for him. Arminis comes home in 4th. 1.8 seconds in the end was that gap. Got a lot closer right here. Pleasurecraft in 5th. Stormflight in 6th. Demos, is he going to hold on? He is going to hold on in 7th place. And I don't think TJ's going to catch him. As Zersty crosses the line in 10th. Demos holds on for 7th. 8th for TJ. Bandit will come home in 9th place. Which comes home in 12th. Next across the line will be Kevin, who will be your winner this evening. Finishes 18.2 seconds clear in the end of Wendigo. To be fair, auto drive should be switched off, my friend, but we can certainly look at it, Nixon. If you want us to have a look back over it, we can do. To be fair, it would explain why the pace dropped right off towards the end there. We'll have to check if auto drive was switched off. So Kevin does win this race. Wendigo comes home in 2nd. Knudsen was 3rd, and we saw they nearly lost 3rd place because of Hardwire going on auto drive apparently. But we'll have a look at that. Yeah, that's not on, if that's what he was doing. To be fair, when Old Man J got past him, and Old Man J just crossed the line in 11th, it did seem that Risto was dropping down the order a lot slower. Rob will come home in 13th. There we go. All done and dusted. Right, there we go. Finished. Okay, cool. We'll have a look at it, mate. And yeah, you shouldn't be driving with auto drive on. And to be fair, I'm sure auto drive is supposed to be switched off. But we will check with the lobby settings. There we go. Done and done and done. I'm going to save the results there. Let me screenshot these quickly so I can update the SimLeague Pro. Really unfortunate to lose Monkey Man Macho so early on because he was looking so quick. No, he wasn't. He was an awesome race, to be fair. And I think at one stage, anyone out of Knudsen, Kevin and Wendigo could have won this race. In fact, at one stage, Kevin wasn't even involved in that. It was Pleasurecraft, Knudsen and Wendigo with the initial early pace. But yeah, great race all round. Everyone raced really, really well and held on to make it a good finish. Anyway, that's done and dusted. Next up is what? It's Porsche Cup. Round number 1 from Spa, the WSR Porsche Cup. We've got a number of drivers competing in that across the many, many, many divisions. I've got so much work to do to get there. I haven't got the stream even close to being ready yet. I've got so much stuff to do for that, but I'm not going to do it tonight. I'm going to do it tomorrow when I get around to it. There are so many graphics required to broadcast this. If you want my honest opinion, it's too fucking many. No race needs that many fucking graphics, but you know, it is what it is. If it's too much of a ball ache, then we'll make a judgment call after that race. But very little information coming through from WSL, I have to say, about where I need to be and how I need to be there, bearing in mind that I'm broadcasting for them. Anyway, that's enough moaning. I'll get SLP updated later on, and we'll have all the results up and we'll see where everyone stands. But Kevin with another win, that will extend his lead at the top of the table. No race next week, of course, because of Fusion. Back on the 1st of April for Fuji. I've been Urban Pirate. This has been Black Flag Racing TV with Staying Power Endurance Series. It's been emotional.